Hey everybody. So today I'm in KNIME. Every Thursday for um, for months now, I spend time working on a research ML project for the firm I work for, and I'm in between this tool and Jupyter Notebooks, just kind of working with data. And so I just want to share with you guys something in KNIME real quick. Something really basic, just connecting data. If you're not familiar with KNIME, I think it's a really awesome tool for getting into analytics. And even if you're experienced with data and stuff, I think it's a phenomenal tool because it supports from investigating data all the way to deploying machine learning models. What's really cool about this is it's a totally open source tool. It's totally free to use. There's no paid tiers to it or anything. Like what you see here is what you can download as well and use. There are paid things if you want to host stuff on servers and things. I think you need to pay for those. But the actual software totally free. So if you're familiar with Dynamo, which if you watch my channel you probably are, it works in that way. There's nodes that you place on a workspace or like canvas, and then you connect those together. With the documentation panel over in Dynamo now, you're probably familiar with the HTML that you see here when we click on this node. You see all this documentation. KNIME has tons of that, whereas Dynamo only has a few things documented. Pretty much any node that you click on will have this HTML or whatever just markup of what that node is, the different parameters and things that you would do in that node, and these nodes are a lot more interactive. Now I've already connected this to a SQL server. And I would recommend looking into that a little bit if you want to know how to do that. I would recommend just looking at just SQL and how to set it up, because for SQL, for this one, this is a private SQL server, so there's a username and password, and then I just specify a database, which in this case a database is to a certain model. And all we've done is exported out models into a SQL server, and then each of those databases in there correspond to a model, and so it's all the data that is in that model. And so with this node, I can connect to that SQL server, and I can specify a specific database, and then from there, what I can do is select a certain table, and something that's really cool, which is really new to Dynamo, is if we select on this, over to the left you'll see recommended nodes. I find this, at least for me, really useful because I'm not familiar with KNIME that well, and I'm also not, I wouldn't call me a data scientist, and so this has been really helpful for me. So over here, what we could do is click on this, or actually not click on it, but drag it over. And then all we have to do is connect these up, just like what you would do in Dynamo. And then when I mean interactive, if I right click this, you can see there's a bunch of options, but up here, configure, if I click on that, you'll see there's just a bunch of stuff. Bunch of tabs, and depending on the node that you're working with, this could be totally different. A whole set of different parameters or settings, and we'll look at that in some of the other nodes. So with this, what I can do is select a specific table, and so now if I go down here and then expand table, there's a whole bunch of tables. All of these, it's all data coming from a Revit model, so you may be familiar with all these different categories here. And so what we're going to do for this one is we're going to go find rooms real quick. So I'll try to search for it, and then we see rooms there, and you can click on it, and sometimes it expands, but it looks like it's not. Let me see if I can get it to. So you'll see like if it'll expand, and then you can see all the different columns for that particular table. So if we scroll down real quick to rooms, and we'll actually need levels as well, but we'll scroll down rooms and grab those first. And then I'm going to click OK, and then we should be good to go. Now, that's the table. What we can do is execute that. So right click it, execute, and then you'll see that it's green now, it's not yellow. And the other option over here, the left, is red. That means it failed. And then if we go down here, we can actually see this table, and then we'll cache those rows, and you'll see a whole bunch of rows that pertain to the rooms. And one of the rows that we care about is the level row, which is this one here. The problem is this level row, and if you're familiar with like the Revit tables, is that this is a ID. This isn't a level name or anything. These are IDs, and so we can't really use this, or at least if we showed this to anybody, they wouldn't know what we were talking about. So that's where we have to grab another table and then do just a join real quick and then we're able to plot that. So I'll close this, and then what we're going to do is just do a DB reader real quick, and we should be able to highlight that node, and then over here we'll see that, and then what we can do is just connect that up, and then we can execute that, and then now we have a KNIME table that we can pass into a joiner node, and then you'll see a joiner, the joiner node right there. Also, something else I just want to point out, you can see node 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can click on that and actually rename that. So I can call that rooms. And then what we're going to do is just grab this, copy it, and then I'm going to change this to levels. And then we'll pull it from this SQL node, plug that in, and then we'll right click that, go to configure, and then select table. Well, actually, I think what we can maybe do is just type that in, see if that works, execute it, and that looks good, and then we can execute that. Look at the KNIME data table, and then now you can see this is our levels, and this is all the columns that pertain to those levels. But what interests us is the name one, and then also the not the type ID, but the unique ID, because that's how we're gonna join this together. We'll look at the unique ID, and then we'll join it up, and then that'll give us the proper level names for all of the rooms. So let's close that, and then I'll drag this over. I'm going to pull this in here. Also, you'll see like the connections, like you see the red square there, and then the red square there. It kind of tells you like what can connect to what. Like I can't connect this into here. It just won't let me. And you'll see like these black arrows connect to the other ones. So that's just a hint on what goes where. Now we'll configure this, and you can see there's like, you know, totally different settings for this node. just like I mentioned, there's different settings and different things, per node. So what we're going to do here is we will click on the add matching, and then we'll find level, and then we'll find unique ID, and then we'll jump over to the column selection, and what we'll want to do is just come down here. We'll turn that off, and then we'll exclude all of that, and then we'll just find the name. And now all we have to do is click OK, and then we can execute that. And now if we open and scroll over to the right, you'll see we have a new column called name, and then we have all the levels. And so what we can do from here is if we want to actually plot this out or bring this data into a bar chart, what we can do is and we haven't looked at this, but this is the node repo. And if we, what we can do is just like Dynamo, you can search this. So if I just search bar chart, I can find a few different options here, and I'm going to grab this one and just bring this output and bring it into that input over there. And then again, we'll click on configure. And the only thing that we're really concerned about for this is we'll get the sum, is the area. So we'll bring that over, and then up here we'll want that set as the new column we just added. And now all we have to do is click OK. And then when we select that node, we can right click it, and now you have this other option called execute and open views. What that's going to do is open up the bar chart. So if we click on that, this window here will pop open, and now we have a bar chart of each of our levels and then the total area on those levels. Now for this particular model, I'm not sure what's going on with these levels, but I know that this model is it's a testing model that was used I think a long time ago, so I'm sure a lot of weird data is inside of it, but as you see here, I mean, you could use this in a variety of different ways. This is just one plot looking at two tables, joining the data together, and then plotting that information. And then we can hover over it. It's interactive. There's a lot of cool things you can do with this. You can bring this data into a variety of different plots. There's a whole bunch of different ones, that KNIME has. You can also plug this into Python stuff. You can take this data and export it out if you want to bring it into other things as well. So but anyways, that's what I have. Hopefully this was kind of insightful. You can see that KNIME's really easy to use. It's not super complicated, but let me know if you have any questions, or if you want to learn more about KNIME, just reach out. But I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.